Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Vimbai Muchenhiri Ekpenyong. Good morning.
Good morning. My wife came back with gift. Take it. Correct.
Good morning. I've been looking for the word in Arabic for welcome. But shukran for the very thoughtful gift.
Shukran.
Thank you for the very thoughtful gift. So I'll say the one I know.
Yes.
You're welcome back.
Perfect. Thank you. It's so good to be back. A great
excellent.
experience, I have to say. A lot of lessons learned. Yeah. And I can't wait to go back next year, specifically to that one. Yeah, it was very eye-opening.
From Riyadh to South Africa.
Yes, I went to Cape Town.
Arise and shine.
Arise and shine. Yaga Africa put together a fantastic forum of social movement leaders. So you had people who've led the protests in Kenya, the people who've led protests even in Brazil and so forth. And they just talked about their experiences and why these movements are not really translating into results. The key takeaway was that I told all the young people, because apparently I was one of the oldest people in the room, I said, anarchy is not the answer. Let's find a better way to engage.
And it's like going home for you, right?
Yes,
South
very
Africa,
much so. Yes,
territory.
Exactly. And just down the road from my university, from my alma mater as well. So that was
brilliant. Did you visit?
Unfortunately, no time. But
busy now.
you know, Arise, they don't give us enough time off. Well, let's get straight into what's trending today. Good morning to everybody watching us from home. Now, we begin with the Arewa Consultative Forum, who has pushed back forcefully against the threat of U.S. military action in Nigeria, attributed to President Donald Trump. During a visit to Arise News Lagos studios yesterday, where they met with the chairman, editor-in-chief of Arise News This Day newspaper, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, the Northern Sociocultural Group dismissed claims of a Christian genocide as untrue, declaring that Nigeria is not a colony of the United States.
We are not a colony of the United States. We do not owe the United States any explanation as to how we run our domestic affairs. What we are doing, however, is to make sure that the world understands the true nature of this conflict.
This is a national challenge, and it is our hope and prayer that it will be addressed properly and timelessly as well.
I would personally would have thought the federal government of Nigeria would have established first and foremost a judicial commission of inquiry in Nigeria so that it could be investigated. Those who have made those claims would have the opportunity to come and put out their evidence. And those who do not think so can also put the evidence so that the world, an open session, could witness that we are checking ourselves first before we rush out. Factors both that are our own fault in the north and outside are influenced had combined to, at a time when we are least capable of pushing back, to further deteriorate what we are doing.
Nigeria is at a crossroad. Nigeria is facing challenges. And I think we as Nigerians should be able to divide our attitude towards our country. When it comes to our internal, listen, we can fight, we can disagree. But when there is an external enemy, we should have an internal cohesion. We thank you very much and we congratulate you. And we want to tell you that we watch you. We always see you, whatever you do. In fact, you have become a must-see for all those who want to know about objectivity, about sincerity, and about the ability to portray what is good about Nigeria. And all the things that appear to be controversial, I think it also always shows that you don't allow yourself to be cowed by any individual or group of individuals. Well done, sir.
We'll support sensible reforms, which is happening now, but we just need to lift more people out of poverty. And that is the direction. So you are welcome to Arise. We speak truth to make Nigeria a better place. And we'll continue to work with you for the greater good of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Indeed, Nigeria is not a colony. Now, before I throw over to my colleagues, I also just want to highlight that I have been physically present in a country while it was being bombed by Americans through NATO. I was in Yugoslavia when the first bombs dropped, and just want people to know that bombs don't discriminate between Christians and Muslims and those who believe in traditional faiths. When it comes down to the crux of it, when those bombs drop, it's terrifying, it's traumatizing for everybody, and guess what? It's those with foreign passports who are first to leave and evacuate, and it's Nigerians who are left behind at home to deal with the consequences. So I throw over to Rufai. I know you were part of this exchange that took place yesterday. Beautiful interaction, beautiful messages shared yesterday.
It was a lovely one, Vimbai, seeing our great people from the Arewa Consultative Forum. In fact, part of the visit was also to tell us that between 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, 4 days, they're going to be having the 25th anniversary. And they told us the history of how Arewa Consultative Forum came about. Then it was time for Q&A. Then two people, you know, being the elders in the room, NEB and Dr. Abati. NEB probably, you know, the Disney family, Dr. Abati from the Arise family. And they got a chance to ask questions, and that was where they talked about it. And, you know, they made very valid points. See, Vimbai, my point on this has always been, let's stop the killings. You see, this argument of they are killing Christians or they are killing Muslims more than Christians, it's a pigeonhole of destruction. Because in the end, be it Christian, be it Muslim, be it Shokmono worshipper, be it Ifa worshipper, be it Onisheshe, Nigerians are being killed. The greatest question we should ask is, should Nigerians be killed in their own country? The answer is no. Dr. Kester just left here, and he was talking about the prowess of the Nigerian military. And I've been to countries, Liberia and the likes, where when they meet me and they say, you're a Nigerian, the first thing they say is, thank you for Nigeria. Thank God for Nigeria. Our country will not be standing today. You need to see the way they celebrate General Obasanjo. You need to see the way they celebrate past leaders of Nigeria. Look at ECOMOG. Nigeria funded extensively. My question is, why can't we use that same military might to solve our problem within? Be it kidnapping, be it killings on the flanks of religion, on the flanks of tribe and anything. We just want the killing to stop.
Absolutely.
See, Nigeria is not Kosovo. But when you look at people that have been killed between 2009 to this time, it's in the tens of thousands.
It must stop. It must stop.
Okay, I think a number of specific points need to be made. The chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Arewa Consultative Forum, the umbrella body of leaders from the northern part of the country, and I think also the chairman of the organizing committee for the 25th anniversary that is being planned, and other members of that Board of Trustees spoke one after the other. The key points is that, one, they were calling for caution. That, you know, Nigeria must be cautious in its dealings with the United States. Nigeria should also be, cautious in its dealings with the U.S. And that the people who are complaining about genocide in Nigeria, that they are wrong, that there is no genocide in the manner in which it is being described in Nigeria. I know Alhaji Dalhatu made the point that, look, Boko Haram doesn't, choose whether you are a Muslim or a Christian, that they just target people, that these are basically, in the Northeast particularly, criminals. And he gave a geographical description of the crisis in the Northeast, in the Northwest, in the North Central, and also, here. And it was on the basis of that he said, look, it looks like there are some Nigerians. Some people call them members of the opposition. Some people call them disaffected Nigerians who are going to the United States to go and demarcate their own country, to run down Nigeria, and to provoke conflict between United States and Nigeria. He said, look, those persons, they could have gone straight to the United Nations. After all, it's under the auspices of the United Nations that we have the Genocide Convention of 1948, the Rome Statute, and similar other conventions on, ensuring global peace. But that Nigeria also has to play its role. he was recommending a judicial commission of inquiry where all the aggrieved people can come and table their grievances on one side or the other for the international community to understand the nature of the conflict in Nigeria. And I think that, that was a very wise voice speaking, to the Arise and This Day team that met with the Arewa Consultative Forum yesterday. But what is important is, as I said earlier, the conciliatory tone that, the security issues are adopting and the attempt, to address the challenges that we face. At the bottom of it, we want good governance.
Yes.
Every Nigerian should feel safe. Every life matters, whether you are Muslim or Christian or animist, as people like Showore and Professor Charles Soludo have argued.
All right, very, very well said. And of course, we continue to hope that engagement discourse continues, because that is how we will find solutions. Well, amidst all of this, a conversation around Donald Trump's threat to engage in military action against Nigeria over reports of Christian persecution and allegations of genocide of Christians locally, of course, continues to generate new talking points. Now, whilst the presidency continues its efforts to douse some of the misinformation that has come about through social media, they've used infographics to share a message of Nigerian diversity. Some of the statistics shared include the reportage that Nigeria is constituted of 51% Muslims and 48% Christians, as well as about 1% dominating traditional beliefs. Well, some users on social media have questioned these statistics, and this has sparked calls for a retraction, because they are citing the fact that Nigeria's population census intentionally excludes religion. It was included in the past, but we know that since the 90s, Nigeria has intentionally excluded religion as an inquiry point in our census. Well, let's take a look at some tweets. The Real David writes, "Freedom of faith is one of Nigeria's strongest pillars, but perception is powerful. The real task ahead is to ensure that justice and security reflect that constitutional promise, not just in speech, but in everyday life." Then we have another tweet, which is from Arewa Edede, who says, "Why is the FG peddling the lie that there are more Muslims than Christians in Nigeria? Where did they get the data from? During our last census, northern Muslim leaders vehemently kicked against the inclusion of religion in the questionnaire. So where did the data come from?" I think is what he wanted to say. So as much as we talk about our diversity, as much as we continue to encourage unity and a departure from trying to accentuate or incite any tensions, these are some of the conversations that are being sparked by information shared from the presidency. Ayo, what's your take on this? This has generated a lot of conversation online. The first question really is, where did this data come from? And we know historically it's very controversial data.
Yes, so we often talk about, RUFI often talks about empirical data here on this table. And I think that a number of people who responded to this infographic by the government, the presidency, are well within their rights. I think it will be important to understand where this data has come from. This is a narrative around the percentage.
It's pure research.
Yeah, around the percentage in terms of how long, because if you look at the trajectory and over the years, you'd see that a number of things have changed. We have called for consistently around data driven by proper census by the Nigerian, by the Nigerian government. This has been moved from one administration to the other because this affects a number of things, and even when it comes to resource allocation, and that is why there's been a consistent call for this. The presidency has done well in providing information, because what we said in diplomatic dialogue is that with the narrative given by the United States of America, it is important to challenge their fact with our own verified fact as to the true nature of what is happening. We will not only go by, oh, this is not true, this is not true. What is the true state of things in Nigeria? What is the, when you talk about religious freedom protected by the Constitution, Section 38 was cited there. But what we've often talked about is that Nigeria has a lot of laws. It is not by a reason of the laws not being available. It is the laws being followed. if we're saying there's freedom of religion, then we must be able and ready to have some uncomfortable conversations. For instance, when we talk about Sharia law, right on this table, we've argued the fact that in some areas, in some parts of the country, even though the provisions of the Sharia law is that it's for Muslims and people who believe in that faith, it has taught some people who don't believe in that faith. Yeah. There have been a number of arguments around the fact that there are some broad, regulations that have been based on the law that affect Christians living in that area. And so when we talk about Nigeria being a secular state and we talk about things like that, it doesn't do well for the perception around religious freedom for Nigerians. So this issue with the United States has brought up some uncomfortable conversations that we must begin to have as a nation. How truly free is the freedom of religion in Nigeria? Is the government ready to do this? And finally, on the point of awareness, the National Orientation Agency, before this happened, we'd been talking about how divided the nation had been, and deeply so as the years had progressed, along religious lines, along ethnic lines, and how the government must, by position and messaging, be at the forefront of bringing people together. And that's why I'm really grateful that the ACF Arewa Consultative Forum spoke about that, highlighted that, and the misconceptions that a number of people have, even of the northerners, that the only thing you think about is poverty, lack, but there's more, when it comes to the north. And so I think that more than ever, let's use this opportunity to rewrite the history of Nigeria and begin to tell the Nigerian story so that we do not allow the West to define our narrative.
Absolutely. Very well said, Ayo. And like I said, when the bombs drop, unfortunately, they don't discriminate between Muslim, Christian, those who worship traditionally, and so forth. And if I'm to speak from experience, in fact, in the bombing in former Yugoslavia, even my dogs, my puppies, also died from the bombing. So nobody and no animal, nothing is left out. So this is not the answer. Violence is not the answer. Well, in a related development, Professor of International Relations Sadiq Abba at the University of Abuja accused Donald Trump's threats as being a vendetta against President Bola Tinubu for allegedly supporting the Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris in the last U.S. election. Well, this is what he had to say.
What the Americans are looking for in this country are something greater, their own interests. Yeah. What are those interests, by your own assessment?
Three things. Number one, to stop Tinubu from becoming president in 2027.
Really?
Yes, because Tinubu...
Are you sure on that?
I can swear with my Quran. Because Tinubu was among the people that contributed money to give it to Kamala Harris for her campaign. And Trump has vengeance. He will never forgive that. Look, what Trump is coming to Nigeria to do is not about Nigerians, Christians, or Nigerian Muslims. It's not about Northerners or Southerners. It's why did Tinubu, through France, mobilize? He's not alone. There are a lot of international presidents, including Macron, that mobilized money for Kamala Harris because they knew if Trump becomes American president, there's going to be a problem for the whole world. That's the first reason. Trump is getting back at Tinubu. And look, because Tinubu is quiet, meek, gentle, and humble, if you put your fingers into his mouth, he is not biting you. Doesn't mean that he can come and roughshod over Tinubu. Tinubu can fight back.
Let me
That's number one reason.
All right, well, all manner of narratives are emerging. Meanwhile, Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike has also chimed in, stating that the strategy of fueling negative publicity towards the government of the day has been in use since the Goodluck Jonathan presidency.
That's what I say. Is politics taking too far? The point is that I have always told everybody, in 2015, under Jonathan, people capitalized on these kind of things to take over power. It happened.
Is it that are you suggesting that opposition is fueling this?
It is very obvious, and I have said this. Now, the problem we have today is that by Mr. President's own nature of politics, you can see the collapse of the opposition.
People will blame you for it.
Well, I don't know how anybody will blame you.
We will get there. Because you have been referred to as one of the caretakers of the death of
Undertakers.
Undertakers.
I will reply to that when it comes. You know me very well, Shehu. Now, the point I'm making is that it will be difficult for anybody. There are so many undercurrents going on. The opposition today has seen that, look, the way it is, no party is ready, no party is prepared to challenge the president's return to power. Now, what do? Should we allow him to just go in like that without challenges? We must do something.
Well, one thing is certain, everybody is entitled to their own opinion and their own analysis of the situation. Dr. Abasi, I'll come to you. So many narratives are emerging out of this, and understandably so.
Well, it's to be expected. There will always be conspiracy theories. There are those who have said, President Tinubu supported Kamala Harris. But I have not seen any concrete evidence. What I've seen is just conspiracy theory in that regard. But there are persons who say that part of the problem is that Nigeria is too close to China. That China, is doing all the mining contracts in Nigeria, and, we're not supposed to support China or relate with China in a multipolar world. There are people who say that Nigeria's position with the third-party dumping of rejected immigrants in the United States is part of the problem. And Nigeria was very clear that we have enough problems here. We don't want to be a dumping ground for Trump's, policy of dumping people on other countries. Sudan may want people from the U.S. Ghana may be happy with rejects from the U.S. Sudan, which is a war zone, may be willing. Eswatini may provide a safe haven for people, but that Nigeria, we don't want to get involved. Also, Nigeria, foreign policy is about the two-state solution. And Nigeria has been saying the people of Gaza, they deserve to be treated as humanely as possible, in accordance with international customary law. Now, all of those things, there is nothing that Nigeria has done that is a violation of customary international law. But the major part of it is that, look, who appoints Donald Trump as a policeman of the world? And we have made a point about sovereignty. The security chiefs have also made the point about, sovereignty. But the Nigerian government is taking the right tone so far, conciliatory, that we welcome cooperation to deal with, security challenges, which we acknowledge. The new security chiefs say we are trying our best. That's, probably the right tone to strike, not a provocative, tone that will further escalate the situation. And we should tell all the warmongers to be careful with, provoking people. Yesterday, I was saying, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, right early in the day, he had warned that whatever President Tinubu does as president, he should just not go and confront Donald Trump. Anyway, that's another story for another forum. And now you have Mr. Nyesom Wike, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, in an interview with Seun Okinbaloye, saying that, no, it's the opposition that is behind this. It's the opposition that do not want President Tinubu to go for a second term, to be in power. Okay, is he not a member of the opposition himself? I mean, to the best of my knowledge, he's still a member. He's still a member of the People's Democratic Party.
Empirical facts.
It's an amphibious, neither frog nor toad kind of characterization. But the truth of the matter is that he still says he's a member of the PDP supporting President Tinubu.
Respect. So it's easy for Wike to say he's opposition. When the same APC opposition went to report Jonathan's government in America, they forgot then that this was what was happening.
No, he is in the...
Are things not happening on ground?
No. What he said is that this was how the same opposition tried to sabotage the Jonathan presidency. And I wrote my conclusion in my piece in This Day Today, that he is the God of Jonathan.
I say
that is
vindicating him,
bringing about a nemesis situation.
Yes.
Karma, they say, is a beach, but karma, can also be very interesting and can be very instructive. And that is why politicians should learn their lessons That when you say you are playing politics today, you are allied to today. Maybe your adversary tomorrow. And that's why you must lead with a proper sense of balance and a sense of history.
Can I just say one thing? Because we said, we announced the breaking news earlier today, and that is, I think at this point, the government should have a coordinated communication approach. If there's anyone in government, they have to be careful what they say. Let's not politicize the matter. The presidency, we got it on good authority that there will be announcements of appointments of ambassadors as early as next week. They should be the ones leading the conversation, diplomatic conversation. This is not the time to be going and granting interviews or putting on X, unresponsibly. It is important that there's a coordinated communication approach from the government, and anyone who does not have the authority should keep quiet.
On this topic, absolutely. Very, very beautifully said. This is a time for patriotism, not a time for conspiracy theories. The time for analysis will come, but this is not it. This is a time to stand for Nigeria first.
Thank you, our good wife.
I've earned my passport
I see
today.
You like your husband's country.
Yes, I do. I love this country with my whole heart, and I do not want to see, what happened to Yugoslavia happen to this beautiful country. God forbid. God will not allow it. Now, still on security news, troops from Nigeria's 12th Brigade engaged bandits in a firefight along the Itobe-Adumu-Ejule axis in Kogi State on November 2nd, rescuing 2 kidnapped individuals and recovering 3.8 million naira in ransom money after intelligence, as well as reports of relatives of some of the victims attempting to deliver ransom to secure their release reached them. Well, the troops acted swiftly on the information and projected a patrol to Achigili Forest to intercept the bandits. However, while en route to the location, the troops came under fire from the criminals. In the ensuing exchange, the soldiers engaged the bandits with firepower, forcing them to abandon 2 victims along with the ransom money. Well, the criminals subsequently fled into the forest with various degrees of gunshot wounds, and the victims are safe and they are at forward operating base in Ogoma. However, the controversy on social media was around the breaking news, where social medias allege that the images that were posted by the army on social media were actually 9 months old and from an old operation. However, it's important to say that even after this trended, it was debunked by social media user Olubumi Aro, whose handle was being quoted in the community notes post that alleged the misinformation. So this is what Olubumi had to say. He said, "Dear community notes, they claimed the pictures were posted 9 months ago, but it's not true. Google Lens was faulty and my handle appeared to have posted it. This is wrong. I never posted any military pictures 9 months ago, and I don't post any of the activities on my page. Please stop reducing the efforts of our military to combat terrorists. I never posted these pictures 9 months ago. It's a lie. I have debunked it since yesterday." Now, we know how much people currently rely on social media, on Grok, community notes to correct misinformation. So in this instance, we see a case of community notes, Grok, getting it wrong. So while we're in this very heated situation, I think it's very important for us to ensure that we check, cross-check, verify. You can never over-verify. And then you don't have to tweet if you don't have the facts. It's also okay to remain silent because, as they say, you cannot misquote silence. Now we have to head to our milestones. We celebrate a remarkable chapter in Nigeria's aviation history, marking 100 years since Kano became the first city to witness an aircraft landing on Nigerian soil. A century ago, the ancient city recorded a significant milestone when the first airplane touched down on its soil, carrying passengers from Khartoum on a mission to explore colonial air routes. The historic moment transformed Kano into a pioneer of air transportation in Nigeria. The arrival of the first airplane to Kano opened new vistas for commerce, connectivity, and development across the region. The pioneering flight laid the foundation for what would become a thriving aviation industry in Nigeria, connecting the nation to the rest of the world and facilitating trade, tourism, and cultural exchange for generations to come. Over the weekend, stakeholders in the aviation sector converged in Kano to celebrate 10 decades of air transportation, which began in the commercial capital of northern Nigeria.
The advancement of development in the aviation industry has grown tremendously. Well, if you can see the exhibited that was in the past, at least we have come of age.
It left Egypt then via Khartoum, via N'Djamena in Chad, and then to Nigeria.
And a century of aviation in Kano. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been insightful, engaging. We continue to say Nigeria first. This is a time for patriotism.
Yes, thank you.